You're now watching the Mike Missanelli podcast on the BetRivers Network.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Mike Missanelli podcast. The last podcast we did was with Jake Tapper, and we appreciate all the feedback we got from that. A lot of people enjoyed the interview we did with him. But today's podcast, brought to you by BetRivers, is to pay tribute to the opening of another baseball season. A little later in the podcast, Shane Victorino will join us to talk about his memories of opening day. And it's time to set up the season. Spring training is over. Now, if you want to review spring training, which I never really do, I couldn't care less what happens. But the fact of the matter is that a lot of Phillies had down spring training as far as hitting the baseball. Nobody really hit. Trey Turner was fine, but everybody else kind of struggled, and the batting averages were not good. And I think that's totally irrelevant. I read a lot of people on social media get all excited about that. Doesn't matter a whit. You're really not trying to win a batting title in spring training. So the real season starts now, and we'll analyze the Phillies and where they are now and what can happen right for them and what can happen wrong and all that stuff. So the bottom line for the Philadelphia Phillies going into the season, and you can't run away from it, they're a contender. And for the way it ended last year, this is a window where they have players stacked together that are going to be a contender every year. But the way it ended last year, after getting into the World Series, losing the World Series, and then coming back the next, expecting to get to the World Series again, and then losing to the Arizona Diamondbacks is a stain. So obviously, coming into this year, the theme is World Series or bust. Now, that may be unfair because they're going to be a contender for the next 3 years. So if it doesn't happen this year, we're not going to come back next year and say they're not a contender. They're a good team with an owner that commits a lot of money, with a general manager who knows exactly what he's doing. So there can't be any complaints that they're doing things wrong. It's just baseball if they don't get to another World Series. They're good enough to get there, and we should expect that it should happen. And if it doesn't, I know a lot of people are going to be disappointed because this World Series or bust thing is a heavy burden to place on a team. So let's look at the Philadelphia Phillies. First of all, what can go right for the Phillies? What can go right is their pitching staff. If you look at all the other contenders, I think the Phillies have a deeper starting pitching staff. Their top three, I don't know, can be matched in Major League Baseball. And then Ranger Suarez had a tremendous spring. And he is the most underrated guy on their staff right now. So when you're hitting teams with Wheeler and Nola and Ranger Suarez, you're off to a pretty good start. Now, the fourth starter was supposed to be Taijuan Walker. That's something that can go wrong. Taijuan Walker is one of these guys that you just can't figure out whether he's going to be efficient or not. He's had a terrible spring. He's been bugged by injuries. And now, is Spencer Turnbull good enough to find his way into the rotation? I think they're going to have to do it at first, and he can actually earn that position. He can make Taijuan Walker go into oblivion, Spencer Turnbull. And so when you're coming with the third starter being a left-hander, you want to have that fourth starter to be a right-hander, and then your fifth starter back to a left-hander. It's very important for that fourth starter to be a righty, and Spencer Turnbull is going to get the chance. And this is a guy who's got enough stuff to pitch a no-hitter in the big leagues. And he's had injuries. He's had a Tommy John, the whole bit. And I go, okay, you throw a no-hitter in the big leagues, you have enough stuff to get by. And then I go, but look at Michael Lorenzen. So maybe it wasn't a total fluke. But I'm going to trust that for the first part of the season, they're good with the starting pitching. And I think that is an advantage, and that's something that can go right for them. Also, listen, I don't worry about guys like Harper and Turner. I know Harper has had a back problem. It's a little worrisome. He tweaks the back because if you could predict it. I mean, the violent swing, there's no person in baseball that has a more violent swing than Bryce Harper. That torque is going to eventually tweak your back a little bit. So hopefully he stays healthy, because if he doesn't and he has to go on an injured list for an extended period of time, I don't know what they do. Whit Merrifield going to be a regular first baseman? Will they move Bohm over there? I don't know, but it causes problems. So his health is very important. And Trey Turner, I know that a lot of people were down on him last year. I don't worry about guys like Trey Turner. I just don't. I don't waste 1 minute of worry on guys like Trey Turner who play the game the way he does. Is he the best defensive player? He's adequate enough. I don't worry about him on defense either. So those are the things that can go right. What else can go right? Alec Boehm could push his way into a 30 home run plateau. I would like to see that happen. It's probably not likely to happen, but I think he's got the ability to do that. I think it's time for him to take a step up. And and Bryson Stott, I love Bryson Stott. So I've got no problems. What can go wrong could go in center field. We'll talk about Johan Rojas in a little bit. If he hits 200, it's problematic. If he hits 230, 240, it's going to be all right, probably. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. I don't feel good about a guy who's trying to learn to hit in a different way, trying to do that against big league pitching. I was an advocate of him starting the year in AAA. I know that the numbers favored him coming north with the team. So we'll just see. I'll trust the staff on what they see. All right, so what can go wrong? We've already talked about Harper's back. But the bullpen, other than Alvarado, I don't know. And I know people don't feel that way, but bullpens are like kickers to me. You can show greatness in 1 year and show consistency in 1 year, and the next year you don't. You can go bad at the drop of a pin. So when we're talking about a guy like Jeff Hoffman, yeah, he established some reliability last year. Can he do it again? I don't know. Soto, he's had some weird outings in spring training. I can't figure out what the deal is. Sir Anthony, okay, I think he's coming around a little bit. Strom is reliable. You got that kind of a feeling with like top five guys that you're going to trust. So, okay, I'm good. Now there are a couple spots they haven't figured out yet, but Connor Braga is going to come north. Marte is going to come north. Ortiz is going to come north. I don't know about these guys. So if I'm looking at what can go wrong, the bullpen, other than Alvarado, scares me a little bit. The good thing is, and I've advocated this for years in previous administrations, you need guys that have velo coming out of your bullpen. You need to have like the Archie Bradleys of the world that the Phillies used to get along with. That concept is gone, and Dombrowski came with that mentality. I can't have guys like Archie Bradley anymore. I've got to have hammers in the bullpen that can get strikeouts. So they've got that kind of bullpen material. Whether they can do it consistently again for another year, we'll see. Okay. Getting the first start of the year, and boy, what an opener. Wheeler and Spencer Strider. If you like pitching, I mean, this is fantastic. I love pitching. I love to see two professionals like those guys go at each other. So that's going to be the starter. Now, Zach Wheeler, who just got the extension, and a lot of people think that he's a more valuable free agent signing than even Harper. I don't happen to believe that, but I can't deny his impact on the Phillies as a free agent. That was very savvy of the Phillies to sign him. He, however, will be their 16th different starting pitcher on opening day since 1990. So I want to play a little game with my producer, Darren. Hello, Darren. How are you?
I'm well. Mike, how are you this morning? Had a little problem hitting the unmute button there.
Okay. Good. Yeah.
I'll figure it out one of these days.
Yeah, it's all right. You'll figure it out. We've only been doing this. This is only
think it's
podcast
172,
172, so you'll eventually figure it out. And of course, it's Thursday, March 28th. All right. So let's play a little game here. The Phillies have had a lot of years where they weren't a good team. So you're talking about starting pitchers that aren't exactly going to come to your mind. So what I'm going to do here is give you hints on guys to see if you can get it. And let's go back
to. You want me to start with the guys I probably know first and knock them off the list?
No, I'm going to do year by year.
Okay.
Year by year.
Year by year.
All right. 1990.
All right.
This was a left-hander who spent the majority of his career in the bullpen because he couldn't throw enough consistent strikes. His ball moved a lot. He was a lefty. 1990. You got it? His initials are BR. Now,
Oh,
if you don't know, it's just say.
I know it because of the initials. And he was the worst. He had the worst swing. I know pitchers. I mean, he was just the worst at bats. That's Bruce Ruffin.
It is Bruce Ruffin. Well, that's a big get for you right out of shoot.
Well, I always think of Bruce Ruffin because I've never seen anybody at the major league level so inept at swinging at baseball.
Okay, let's go to the second. From 1991 to 1993, a pretty consistent left-hander who had a great pickoff move. Threw a no-hitter.
Too early for Schill, right?
Left-hander.
Lefty.
Great pickoff move. Threw a no-hitter.
Yeah, that's old. Terry
Mulholland is correct. You're 2 for 2. All right. From 94 to 95, and then again from 97 to 99, it was Curt Schilling. So that's an easy one. In 1996, in between those Schilling starts, was a rotund left-hander who they had gotten from the Mets.
I don't think I'm going to get this one. I'm drawing a total blank.
Sid Fernandez in 1996. In the year 2000, you're not going to get this guy either, but he was a highly touted guy that came through the minor league system. They wound up trading him to San Diego, where he had a couple of good years. His first and last name begin with an A.
When you first started saying it, I immediately thought of Pat Combs for some reason, but it's probably too late for Pat Combs anyway. I don't know. I don't have that one. I don't.
Andy Ashby.
Andy Ashby.
All right. In 2001, a left-hander that they had gotten in the Curt Schilling trade from Arizona.
Yeah, that's a good hint right there. That's Omar Dahl.
Omar Dahl is correct. In 2002, he was an African-American hard-throwing right-hander who could hit. His initials were RP.
Pearson?
No, you're close. Robert Person. Person. All right. In 2003 and 2004, hard-throwing right-hander who they had gotten from the Braves, who had thrown also a no-hitter.
I know that one. That's Kevin Millwood.
Kevin Millwood is correct. Right. 2005, 2006, a right-hander who was very average, but his glory years really were from the Cubs. He had a truck that everybody talked about. Wow. His initials were JL.
Yeah, John Lieber.
John Lieber is correct. In 2007 to 2009, he was a teammate of Shane Victorino's. He flopped back and forth from bullpen to starting pitcher, and he would make moonshine in the Phillies clubhouse.
Oh, that's
now a country singer.
Oh, that's Brett Myers.
Brett Myers is correct. Yeah. In 2010 to 2012, the Hall of Famer Roy Halladay.
Oh, of course not.
In 2013, they prized left-hander who had come up through the Philly system.
Oh, wait a minute. He only threw one opening day?
That is correct.
Cole Hamels?
Cole Hamels is correct. In 2014, a left-hander they have traded away and gotten back.
That's easy. Cliff Lee.
Cliff Lee is correct. In 2015, they went back to Cole Hamels.
Okay, so I thought he had to pitch more than one.
In 2006, but you were thinking in the glory days. But in 2016 and 2017, he got the opening day start because they were terrible. He was a right-hander they had gotten from the Washington Nationals. His initials were JH.
I don't know. I don't remember. I don't know why I don't remember.
Jeremy Hellickson.
Oh, my God.
All right, there you go. And, of course, then it leads into Nola and Wheeler. And I know people who are listening to the podcast were also playing this game at home, so we hope we gave you enough time.
I did pretty good. I bet you I did a lot better than you thought.
You did a pretty good job. I didn't expect you were going to get Bruce Ruffin, much less the rest of the guys. All right, you got it. Okay. Breakout player of a year. I believe it will be one of two. And I've already mentioned Alex Boehm. If he hits 30 home runs, he's the breakout player of the year. But the most consistent guy who's going to have a breakout year into an all-star year this year,
Right.
I believe, is Bryson Stott. I believe he will
That's
be
my
an
man.
all-star this year, which makes him a breakout player.
Yeah, I would love to see that for him take that next step. You and I both love Stott, love his game. I did see, in terms of value, did you see Trey Turner's plus 2,200 for MVP? I think he might be past his MVP days, but that's pretty good value.
He might be an MVP. He
Might.
certainly has the ability to be an MVP.
Plus
So that might
2,200
not be a
ain't
good.
bad.
Yeah, throw $10 on them plus 2,200.
Yeah.
Why not?
I'll do right on the BetRivers app.
There you go, right on the BetRivers app where you can
Yeah.
make all these bets. All right. Player who scares me the most.
All right.
Listen, I could go the easy route and say Rojas, but I'm going to go in a different direction. I'm going with the right fielder. The guy scares me. Nick Castellanos scares me. I don't have any idea whether he's going to be consistent or not. And he didn't have a good spring. He gets into these funks where he just has no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
He scares me in right field. Now, he doesn't scare a lot of people. A lot of people love him. A lot of people think, that he's, but he scares me. And his demeanor scares. There's a lot of things that scare me about him. He, in a lot of ways, is like how I feel about Kelly Oubre. When I think of Nick Castellanos, it's these guys that make me nervous about their abilities. I don't know why. All right, so there you go. All right, that's your perspectives on what the Phillies are. They're a contender. Are they as good as the Braves? I mean, I don't know. They're right. I think they're right there with the Braves. We had Larry Bowo on last week. He said he thinks they have a better lineup than the Dodgers. All right, so we'll see. They're going to be there all summer. It's going to be good to be a Phillies fan. You don't have to worry about a team and whether they're going to be in the playoffs or not, like we worry about every other team in this city. Okay.
I just always worry about the Phillies for some reason, even when I know they're good.
Yeah, I don't worry about them. Listen, when you're a good team, you're a good team.
Yeah.
And when good players are stacked up, they all don't fall at the same time.
Right.
They've got a solid starting pitching staff. They've got a great lineup. They have a potential really good bullpen. I don't think there's anything to worry about. Okay. Let's do some offbeat stuff. New food at the ballpark. I know a lot of people are going to come to the ballpark this year, probably more than any year. This place is going to be banged out. They might sell out every game. They really, back to the old days where they just packed the stadium every game. New food. So you got the Schwarberger is back, 2.0. We'll tell you where you can get that in a second. Briganti wines. Now, okay, it's not Natali Vineyard wines, but Briganti wines will be served at the ballpark. And the guy behind Briganti wines is a guy named Mike Costanzo, who was a local kid who wound up getting drafted by the Phillies. He was a third baseman, and now he's in the wine business. In fact, his father's trying to hook me up with young Mike for some wine talk, since I'm involved in a winery now.
We could arrange that right here.
Yeah. Briganti Wines by Mike Costanzo. That will be featured. It's good to be an ex-Philly that you can get your product in there. It's nice.
Certainly.
There's also Four Walls Irish American Whiskey. The folks behind the It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia TV show are behind the whiskey. So again, you pay tribute to Philadelphia, you get a little in there, and Rob McElhaney has gotten an in. And they'll be serving their whiskey. Also, Casamigos. Is that's
Clooney?
Is that George Clooney?
I love Casamigos. My favorite tequila.
Casamigos is George Clooney's tequila.
Yeah.
All right, that'll be served. And Mac and Manco are expanding to several spots. For my money, the Mac and Manco pizza, the individual pizza that you can just grab at the kiosk, is one of the great bargains ever. That's a $7 item. Now, it's probably going to raise the price this year, but
I'm not a Mac and Manco pizza guy. I always think they're overrated.
Listen, I don't understand you. That's a good pizza for
down
$7.
the shore. I'm more of a Sam's guy in Wildwood. But anyway,
all right,
but I digress.
They're going to have ballpark bomb fries. You can get at PJ Willihan's. The bratwurst sandwich, which has the beer braised onions and the Licio roll, you can get that at Pass and Stowe. This is not an item for me, but for the veg people out there, the Buffalo chicken hoagie, which is a vegetarian buffalo chicken sandwich from Greens and Grains. And if you're into that kind of natural grainy stuff and fake meat, you can grab that. I'm not. There's the opposite of that is the loaded funnel cake sundae from Coca-Cola Sunday Corner, and of course the Schwarberger 2.0 will be served at Coca-Cola Corner. Also new, the out-of-town scoreboard's now all digital. You won't have that fence in front of it. Extends from right field towards center field. It looks pretty good to me. All right, here's the bag policy for you folks. All right, so let's get this down. Take some notes on this because I hate to have people get their bags stopped and stored in the whole, or you have to go back to the car. Clear bags no longer than 12 by 6 by 12. All right, you got to have your stuff in a clear bag. The non-clear bags that are allowed are fanny packs and clutch purses, no longer than 5 by 7. All right, so there you go. Now you got to get a ruler out. You got to measure before you take it to the ballpark. There you go. So it's 12 by 6 by 12 on the clear bags. The non-clear and fanny packs and clutch purses no longer than 5 by 7. 1 gallon plastic bags, medical and diaper bags will be allowed. No backpacks. In Spanish, as I'm learning my new Spanish, the backpack is called the mochila. No mochilas. No tote bags, no binocular cases, no camera bags or big purses. All right, let me give you a movie. Every time I hear the word purse, I think of a movie scene. Here's the movie scene, Darren. Let's see if you can get it.
All right.
Is that your purse? That's a nice purse.
Is that your purse?
Is that your purse? That's a nice purse.
It's. I don't have it. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's a really good impersonation, though.
It is a very good impersonation, and it happens to be from Trading Places, where Phoebe is trying to bail out Dan Aykroyd, and she's sitting on the bench next to that decrepit man. Hey, is that your purse? And she sprays him with Binaca.
That's
All right, let's move on. All right, another baseball season is opening, and let's bring in a man who has a lot of experience with opening day here on the Mike Missanelli podcast. He, of course, is the great flying Hawaiian Shane Victorino. Shane, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Mikey. How about yourself, man?
Doing okay, and really happy that baseball season has started. It's been a miserable spring. Waiting for this to finally get here, but we finally have it. So let me ask you about opening day and all the opening days that you've gone through. And I know there's probably a difference between when your first opening day and then when you were a veteran. But just describe the feeling about opening day.
I try to tell people, I don't know if you understand the feeling, because it's what I tell people. It's like all the hard work, all the dedication you put into an off season, knowing that you're preparing for 162 games, all the work you do in spring training, as people call the boring time of the season, where you just, you kind of wait till it to end so that opening day comes. But, I tell people I was always left speechless because I always knew that here I am again, getting an opportunity to do something I love, to put on a big league uniform, to walk out on a field that I know is every kid's dream. So opening day was always that tickle me feeling where it's like, here it is, it's time to go to work, and we got a long season ahead of us, but hopefully the journey ends in something that's very happy.
All right, was it different as a veteran? Go back to your first opening day, because I'm sure that was a mind-boggling experience for you.
I was definitely mind-boggled. I was a 22-year-old kid. I had just learned how to switch it, and I was a Rule 5 kid in the big leagues in 2003 with the San Diego Padres. So you want to talk about a tickle me moment. As I said, I didn't even know how to hit left-handed. I had just learned how to hit left-handed. And here I am in beautiful Qualcomm Stadium in San Diego, watching Barry Bonds come out to the field, and this was in Barry's heydays. And I just remember saying to myself on opening day going, are guys that big? Do guys hit the ball that far? Because I said I was a 22-year-old kid, lucky maybe 170 pounds, at the time, just basically a raw kid, that grew up in the island, on the island of Maui, that got an opportunity to play Major League Baseball. So it was definitely, as I said, a moment where I look back and go, man, here we are. So, you know, and as you said, Mike, fast forward to being a veteran player, showing up, you know, looking at the excitement on a different perspective, watching all the young kids walk in with that smile on their face to their first, you know, spring training, big league camp. So, you know, a lot of raining emotions, but as I said, there is no better day. And I hope someday that the government will give an opportunity for opening day to be a holiday so that people can enjoy this special game.
So, like that first, so Barry Bonds is the first series that you played.
Oh,
And I know a lot of even veteran players used to just watch his BP. Did you do that?
I definitely went out and watched his BP, and as I said, that what made me realize, like, my goodness, someone hits the ball that far, and someone is that good.
You know, the pressure of a Rule 5 guy, a kid from Maui, just learning how to switch hit. You know, the experience of opening day is one thing, but now the pressure to be a big leaguer. How did you handle that?
um, you know, I think that's one of the toughest questions people always ask is that how did you handle being a big leaguer? You know, I told them I never took it for granted. I understood how lucky I was, and you know, the reflection of my game is definitely the reason of and an understanding of how I looked at the game every day. You know, I played the way I did because I knew how lucky I was to put on a uniform. You know, and understanding the opportunity that I got. You know, not many of us have been able to do it. So when I look at those kind of moments and I think about my journey, it's I was very lucky. I was blessed, and you know, as I said, I never took anything for granted when I put on that big league uniform.
We're with the great Shane Victorino. All right, now Shane, I know you were down in spring training with him as a guest instructor. So, what vibe did you get from this team? You know, most people are looking at the Phillies going, "Well, this is what they did last year, so this year's got to be World Series or bust." What did you see?
You know, I understand that phrase. I've said that phrase, you know, in my own career. But I also take a step back, and I also want people to remember that winning a championship at any level, you know, especially at the big league level or at the highest level, it's not easy, guys. So for me, you know, I think they have, and I know that they have everything that it needs and everything that they'll take to be a winning team. But as I said, it's not that easy. You know, there's so many things that can happen. One injury, one, you know, simple, you know, not, you know, a bad month of baseball, you know, and so for me, I look at it as this. They are prepared. They have the team. Now it's a matter about going out there every single game, being ready. You know, it's not an easy fan base to play in front of, as you guys know, and that sometimes can play a role. So for me, it's like the reverse role last year when you know they stood up for Trey and they made him feel loved and they made him feel great. You know, so I tell myself that they are prepared. I think that they have a great chance, but I also understand as a baseball player, you know, there are so many things that can happen. There are a lot of great teams in the National League. A lot of teams have gotten better. So, you know, people are going to think that you know, they got the same team, they got the same talent. You know, they're one game away from getting to the World Series. But as I said, this is a whole different year. A whole lot of different, you know, a whole lot of other things can happen. So I had fun. I was excited to be around the guys. I think they're prepared. They're, you know, the chemistry is what I love about that team. You know, they care for one another. They are there for one another. So for me, that reminds me of my winning days. That you have to have a lot of that. You have to have a lot of chemistry. You have to have a good core, which the Phillies have. So as I said, as a guy who came back and got the opportunity to be there for a week, I'm ecstatic. I can't wait to watch this team. I can't wait to see what they do, and you know, it's going to be a fun year.
So you got a good vibe from them in spring training.
I
You
got a
got
great
that
vibe. I
confident
mean,
vibe from them.
yes, the energy's good. I mean, you know, I know some people sit and go, well, they didn't do anything in free agency. They didn't really do. Well, yeah, darn, they did. They kept Nola. They kept Wheeler here. You know, I mean, you know, they kept that they just signed that lefty, you know, to Strong to stay around. So I think from an internal standpoint, they have a lot of the chips that they really didn't have to go outside, you know, to solve the puzzle. So, you know, we'll see what happens. As I said, there's a lot of you know, a lot of positive, a lot of good energy, and as I said, I'm excited.
All right, so let's. You were down there, and I know people looked at you as a guy who could really help Johan Rojas. So, what was your perspective of him, and what kind of things did you talk to him about the work with him on?
He's a very talented young kid. I mean, and as I tell people, it reminded me of my younger days where I was raw, where I, had to learn the game. I had to figure it out. So I told Johan, I think I used the word in an interview, and I used the word tranquilo. Like, I told him, you have to slow down. The game is so fast at that level. It is a very, high energy game. So people like you and I are so high energy, we're bouncing off the walls that if we don't figure out how to slow the game down, it'll catch up to you or it'll become too fast. And I used the example one game is like, I heard him, I didn't go to that game, but I came to the field the next day and I asked, hey, how did Johan do? And they said, oh, he did amazing. He turned a single into a double, but in the next pitch, he stole third and he was thrown out, and I was like, okay. I said, well, did anybody kind of like, talking through the process of what he should there? And, everybody kind of looked around and I said, okay, well, I'll go talk to him. And, and I basically said to him, I said, the game is that you have at that level in the big leagues, you have to let the game sometimes dictate what the outcome of what you want to do as a player instead of you, pushing the game is what I told him. I said, you got to let the game basically dictates some of the things and some of the moves you want to do. And I said, an example right there, Johan, I said, you did your job. You turned a single into a double. You sit there with nobody out. Now you let the rest of the game kind of play itself out instead of you trying to grab the game by the horn and saying, okay, now I'm going to try to rush and get to third. And then you get thrown out and everybody looks at you like, so I think those are part of the game, but that comes with experience too. And I told him, I said, Johan, I'm glad you made the mistake now. I said, I'm glad because now you know that you're going to learn from that. If you never made that mistake, next thing you know it's, a must-win game in Philadelphia. And here you are leading off with an amazing, double, turning single to a double, and then you take off for third. But now you know that when that game happens and there's a situation, you're going to think to yourself, okay, let the game play itself out. And I said to Johan, I said, hey, I did this as a young kid. I remember stealing third base with Ryan Howard up at the plate, and I tried to steal third, and I got thrown out to end the game, and the whole stadium was, my coaches all looked at me like, what are you doing? And I said, do you guys know what I was trying to do? I said, the guy was on the mound. He had a great slider. So if I get from second to third, it takes the slider out of his repertoire because if he bounces that slider and throws it off in the dirt, I'm scoring. But the outcome wasn't what I wanted. It was, I got thrown out. It ended the game. So I said to myself, I'll never steal third base with Ryan Howard, or if I do, I better make sure that I'm safe. So those are the kind of things I think that's going to happen to Johan. I think Rojas is going to see a lot of these things. So I want people and the fans to understand that there are going to be some mistakes made because these kids are so raw. He's still trying to learn the game. So it's almost like we can't get frustrated because he's still trying to learn the game. But I'm excited. I am glad. I sent him a text yesterday. Congratulations on making an opening day roster. And I just basically said, go out there, have fun, be you.
You know how to text in Spanish?
I texted him in English, so hopefully he had his translator read it. But it was definitely a jumbo text, so I know it was him.
Shane, listen, you learned to hit in the big leagues, and it's the hardest thing to do is to hit in the big leagues. It's not easy, and so. He's now at a point where, because of the way it ended last year, confidence is so much about hitting in the big league. You have to know that you can hit in the big leagues. And right now, we don't know if he's like going to move to that next level. It ended badly for him. They started to work with him to do different things. All that stuff is in his head about now hitting in the big leagues. So tell me how difficult this is for him to hit in the big leagues right now.
Well, it's not going to be easy. I mean, I think the league has understood and, kind of, as I said, the league changes or the league, understands when a guy has his weaknesses, they're going to try to exploit it. So for me, what I told him is you have to play the little game. And what I said to him is you're going to have to play the game that's unsexy. And the unsexy game now is the two things that God blessed him with, which is his feet. I said you should butt. You should, move the ball around the field. I said you should do all these little things because those are the kind of things that you'll never go into a slump because you can put down a bunt, because you can hit a 10-hopper ground ball and beat it out. What I told him is don't try to hit homers. Don't try to hit the fly balls. Don't try to be the guy that you're not. Eventually, you'll turn into that guy. But right now, I think for him I told him focus on the little things. Focus on the things that you can control, which is, your speed. You can control that part of the game. But the other part, Mike, I said to him, it's not about your offense. They want you for one thing, and that city and that team has longed for a guy who has been a high caliber center fielder that can go out there and catch the ball. I said, that is the one thing that you need to worry about. That night, go play unbelievable Gold Glove defense, and you'll be fine, because let the rest of the other 8 guys, worry about bringing in that offense right now. You just worry about being a great defensive outfielder. Your offense will come. It's not going to be easy, as you said. It's going to be a struggle, and it's how do you continue. But I told him that in the game of baseball, if I don't get a hit, you don't get a hit. So, and that's how I looked at it. It was like, there's a lot of parts of the game where, I'm going to struggle offensively. I'm going to have times where I'm not good. But I promise you, hit it anywhere out in that grass, you ain't going to get a hit either. And I'm going to make sure that I make up that way. So that's what I told him. I said, don't focus on just the offense side. I know that's what everybody's talking about. Focus on what is your biggest assets, which is speed, playing Gold Glove defense, and letting the rest take care of itself. Yeah. Because, like you said, Mike, the pressure's on them. I mean, everybody's going to.
Yeah, it's a shame because it's like golf. I mean, you're going to go play golf now. You get a bunch of stuff in your head, and you're clicking everything off in your head, and it's hard enough to face that pitcher, and that's what I worry about. He's now thinking so much of what they want him to do that it's going to be detrimental to them, and I hope it doesn't happen. And they believe in him because they took him up north. So we'll see how that plays out. But you being down there, I think was really valuable for the kid. Now that I hear all the stuff, Shane, I want to talk to you about something that you experienced recently by actually coming back to play for the Savannah Bananas, which is the whole concept of this whole thing is so crazy to me. It's a barnstorm. For the people that know the Savannah Bananas, they're a barnstorming team like the Globetrotters. They play under these really crazy different rules.
Don't use hold on. I'm going to cut you off. Don't use the Globetrotters because Jesse, the owner, don't like that word.
No, I understand
because the Globetrotters is scripted.
Yeah, they want to be competitive and win games. I get it. And all baseball players want. There's no choice in baseball to be a goof. You have to. A pitcher's trying to get you out. You have to get on base. So my question, when you haven't hit in a long time, I don't know if you go to the cage or whatever, now you're back into a situation of competitive baseball. What was that like for you?
It was a tear-jerking moment for me. And when I say that, Mike, is I got an opportunity to play a game in front of my son and some of his friends they're 12 years old at the time, which back in my day when I was playing, my son was 4. My son never really got to see that. So what was tear-jerking about it was the fact that all these kids are in love with the Savannah Bananas and they think it's the greatest thing and it's this new phenomenon. So what was awesome about it was to walk into the locker room and watch all the Savannah Bananas basically get excited to see me. So it was a moment where my son looks up to them, but yet these kids look up to his father. And, it was an opportunity for me to kind of get back around the game, understand the game from that perspective where it was fun. I told Jesse, Jesse, this is fun. I don't have to stress. I don't got to worry about going out there and playing in front of 45,000 in Citizens Bank Park. If I strike out, they're going to boo me or they're going to be upset or they're going to, if I don't do right. Where here, it's like there's no pressure. You just go out there, have fun, go do what you want to do and enjoy the game that you love and got to play at such a high level and stress level. It was a moment, as I said, I don't know if, there's only 2 greater moments, winning the 2 World Series. The part about, and when I say that, you sit there and you giggle, it was one of those moments. Like at the end of when I got that base hit or that double into left center and I got to cheer and I got to come in and hug my kid and go, man, this is that moment that I had longed for, and so thank you to Jesse. Thank you to Savannah Bananas for giving me that opportunity to relive, as I said, that joy, the laughter around a game that was, like you said, somewhat so stressful because you did it as a career, as a job, where walking out with a banana was like, man, there's no care, there's nothing to worry about. Just go out there and have fun. But I want people to realize these guys are unbelievable baseball players, man. It is unbelievable to do the things that they're doing. I tell people to do a backflip, hard enough to catch a fly ball, let alone these dudes are doing backflip as they're catching a fly ball now. And I'm saying to myself, there's no chance I'll ever do that. But the fact that these guys can do it is very, very impressive. So I cannot wait. September 21st. I know they're coming to Citizens Bank Park. It is going to be amazing. And hopefully I'll be in shape to be out there on the 21st.
Oh, well, that's going to be fantastic. You're going to play at Citizens Bank Park. But I'm more like facing. These guys are. The pitchers are still pretty good. Now, people don't understand that the pitching of guys that have pitched and were trying to get to the big league, it's still high quality. So when you have it, baseball so much about timing and hitting and confidence. Did you pick up a bat before you did this?
No, I just
it's amazing to me that you just step in and hit a double. That's phenomenal to me.
You know what? As I always said, God acts in mysterious ways if you believe in it, and sometimes God blesses you with certain things. And I truly believe that. As you just said, it's not like I was in the cage hitting a guy throwing 92 miles an hour or 88 miles an hour, for the last 6 years. No, when I was done with baseball, I put that bat away. I picked up the golf club and I fell in love with the sport of golf. But, it is one of those moments, as you said, it's like, how did I hit the grand slams in Philadelphia? How did I hit the grand slam in Boston? Well, someone, as I said, is controlling that other and that opportunity. And I was very grateful to be in that position, to live that moment, as I said, in front of my kids, in front of my family here in Las Vegas. And hopefully September 21st, I get to do it again.
That is awesome. I mean, I got
Citizens Bank Park.
Really, you stepping in playing for the Savannah Bananas at Citizens Bank Park is going to be a moment, man. I tell you, that's fabulous. Listen, man, thanks for spending some time with us. It's
always,
good to
guys.
catch up with you again and hit them long and straight today. All right.
Thanks, Mikey. It's always great catching up, man.
All right, bud. Take care. All right, that's going to do it for the Mike Missanelli podcast for today. Thanks everybody for listening. Brought to us by BetRivers. I am on a bad streak right now, and so I need the NCAA tournament to get me back whole. And I'm going to tell you that I like Iowa State. They're minus 1.5 against Illinois, who has an unstoppable player on their team. Now, that line gets me a little bit because Iowa State can play some defense. So that is the game that I'm focused on. I'm riding with Iowa State on my BetRivers app so I can get whole again. I don't know how you're going to go, but good luck to you. All right, you can reach me, Mike at MikeMiss.com. If you have something to email me about, love to have emails. MikeMiss25 is how you get to me on Twitter. And don't forget, we're coming up on spring season. So if you're inclined to be down the shore, Cape May Courthouse, stop by the winery that I have part ownership in. It's called the Tally Vineyards. It's not going to be served at the Citizens Bank Ballpark, but it'll be served right there at the Tally Vineyards. And in my house, by the way, in case you want to stop over. I got a few bottles, and Darren's got a few bottles as well, right?
Yeah, I get a couple bottles, half a dozen bottles or so from you every year, or I get my own. So, yeah.
All right. Have a great rest of the day, everybody. And hopefully, if you're going to the ball game on Friday, that's tomorrow, you have a good experience down there. And the Phils win behind Zach Wheeler. Have a great day, everybody. It's cold and rainy. Just wade through it. Tomorrow's a better day. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.